She sat on the cold pavement, barely 15, wrapped in a tattered hoodie, her hair clinging to her cheeks soaked by the drizzle. Hundreds walked past her, some looked through her, others away. No one stopped. No one even asked her name. Except him. And the little boy holding his hand. It was a Tuesday morning in early winter. The streets of downtown were buzzing, people clutching coffee cups, rushing into buses, checking phones, and wearing expressions too busy for empathy. On the corner near the 6th Avenue bakery, a girl sat curled against a wall. Her face was pale from cold and hunger, but what stood out most was her eyes, wide, broken, and searching. People assumed she was trouble. That she ran away. That she was someone else's problem. And so, they walked on. From across the street, a man in his early 30s noticed her. His name was Ray, a single dad, just coming off the early shift at the auto repair shop. In one hand, he held a brown paper bag with 2 muffins. In the other, his 5-year-old son, Noah, skipped beside him. "Daddy," Noah tugged on Ray's coat, whispering as they passed, "Why is that girl sitting there? She looks sad." Ray glanced over, expecting the usual, a teenager on her phone maybe, or someone waiting for someone else. But what he saw made him stop. She wasn't waiting. She was surviving. Ray crouched down next to her, careful not to startle her. "You okay?" he asked gently. The girl flinched. She didn't speak. Just shook her head slowly, eyes darting from him to Noah. Ray looked around. People continued walking, no one stopping. Some even frowned at him for pausing. He reached into the bag and pulled out one of the muffins. "It's warm," he said, handing it to her. "Just bought it." She hesitated, then reached out with shaky hands and took it. A quiet "thank you" escaped her lips, barely audible. "What's your name?" Noah asked, stepping closer. "Lila," she whispered. Over the next few days, Ray and Noah returned. Each time, Lila was still there, same spot, same silence. But slowly, she began to talk. She was 16. Her mother died 2 years ago, and after bouncing through foster homes, she ran from a place where she wasn't safe. With no one to trust, she landed on the streets. At night, she found corners to sleep. By day, she disappeared into crowds, hoping no one would hurt her again. Ray listened. Not as a savior. Not as a judge. But as someone who'd seen darkness himself. After Noah's mother passed during childbirth, Ray raised his son alone. He worked 2 jobs. He knew what it meant to feel alone, even in a crowd. Ray wanted to help her. But he had nothing extra, barely managing rent, food, daycare. What could one man with 1 child do? He tried calling shelters, full. Called social services, too many names ahead of hers. But still, every evening, he brought her food, and every morning, he checked on her. Neighbors began whispering. "Why's he talking to that girl? She's probably lying. He's risking his kid." But Ray didn't care what they thought. He cared about what he taught Noah. One night, Noah asked, "Why do we keep helping her, Daddy?" Ray paused, then said, "Because I want you to grow up kind. And kind people do the hard thing, even when others walk away." One evening, Lila didn't show up. Her spot was empty. Ray panicked. He searched the nearby alley, asked shopkeepers. A barista said they saw a man yelling at a girl the night before. Police had been called. That was all they knew. Ray didn't sleep. The next day, he drove to every precinct in the city. Finally, at the 3rd one, a tired officer confirmed, yes, a homeless minor had been brought in. No ID. Quiet. Scared. He waited for hours to see her. When they let him in, Lila sat at the end of a bench in a gray hoodie that didn't fit. When she saw him, her lips trembled. "You came," she whispered. Ray knelt beside her. "Always." The system wasn't kind. But Ray pushed. He filed paperwork, wrote letters, and when asked if he would consider becoming her temporary guardian, he didn't hesitate. He may not have much, but he had love, and a safe home. The next few weeks were tough. Lila struggled to trust, often waking up in panic at night. But Noah's laughter began to chip away at her fear. The three of them ate dinners together, played board games, watched cartoons. Slowly, she began to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't invisible anymore. She enrolled in school. She started drawing again. She smiled. 6 months later, during a school art exhibition, Lila stood next to her drawing, a sketch of a sidewalk, a muffin, a little boy with a big heart, and a man kneeling down beside a girl who everyone else ignored. People clapped. But Ray didn't care for the applause. He was too busy watching Lila, no longer the girl on the street, but a young woman who found strength, family, and a voice.